Jesus. Om Jnanantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumritamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we're going to discuss the end of chapter 7 and a little bit of chapter 8. So in chapter 7, it's not activity, so So in chapter 7, Krishna, as we have mentioned, his voice is very different from his voice in the first 6 chapters. His voice in the first 6 chapters is as a guru teaching about yoga. But in the middle 6 chapters, chapters 7 to 12, and really the rest of the chapter, Krishna's voice is as the deity of the book. So he becomes the guru who teaches yoga to God himself. So he's teaching about God in chapter 7, and specifically the feature of God known as Paramatma, who is the feature of the Godhead that has relation with the material world. So what we learn in chapter 7 is that the soul and we learn that God has 2 Shaktis, basically, the soul Shakti and the material Shakti. Shakti means energy. So the soul Shakti is called as the Parapakriti, the superior Prakriti, and it is superior because it's conscious. And the material Shakti or material energy is called as Apara Prakriti or the inferior Prakriti or inferior energy because it's unconscious and being employed by the conscious entities for their own purposes of enjoyment or liberation. Right? You are a conscious being that is using unconscious matter for your own purposes, isn't it? And usually those purposes are only 2 categories. One purpose is bhukti, other purpose is mukti. Bhukti means enjoyment. You're trying to enjoy in so many ways, isn't it? And mukti means liberation. So for what purpose you are using the body? Bhukti or mukti? That's a personal question. Are you using the body for bhukti or for mukti?
Bhukti was correct.
Oh my God. Bhukti means material enjoyment. You're trying to enjoy in this world in so many ways. And mukti means liberation. You're trying for liberation. So you're trying for bhukti or you're trying for mukti? Yes. So the souls in this material world, they are bewildered. Although they are parapakriti, they are bewildered by the inferior prakriti. And because of that bewilderment, they try to enjoy in this material world. And as a result of trying to enjoy in this material world, they have to suffer. Isn't it? Just like you try to enjoy so many ways, and you are suffering in so many ways. Both externally you suffer, and internally you suffer. Isn't it? So how do you get out of this? So Krishna spoke about surrender to himself to get out of the bondage of the inferior energy. So the soul is trapped inside the inferior energy. It's kind of like being trapped in the matrix. So if you want to be unplugged, you've seen this movie Matrix? You've never seen the movie Matrix? Oh man, bro, what's going on? That's like an assignment for you. It's just the first part. It has 3 parts. You just see the first part. You've seen, right? So Matrix is like a big virtual reality, and the machines took over the world, and they're using human bodies to energize themselves. And these human bodies are trapped inside this virtual reality unless they're unplugged from it. So this matrix is like the apara prakriti, the inferior prakriti. And the souls were trapped inside of it. So if you want to be unplugged from this inferior energy and the suffering that is the corollary of being plugged into the matrix, then you have to surrender to Krishna. He mentions that in 7:14. Mameva ye prapadyante mayamitam tarantite. So then he spoke about 4 types of persons who are inspired to surrender to God. 4 types. 4 types are existing in 2 categories. One category is those who surrender to God because of sakama. They have some desires that they want to fulfill. And another type surrender to God, nishkama. They have no desires that they want to fulfill. These are the 2 broad categories. You understand? Sakama means what? And nishkama?
No desires.
Yes. So in the nishkama category, there are 3 types mentioned. Those who are suffering, that's a big category. Suffering in so many ways. Artha, atarti. Jignasu, second category is those who are inquisitive. And third category was those who are atarti, they're wanting some material remuneration. They want to ask God for something material. So these three types of persons surrender to God. You understand? Then Nishkama was called the Gyani. The Gyani was a person who just wants to meditate on God. So these are the four types that surrender to God. He also spoke of those who don't surrender to him. So out of these types that surrender to him, two categories, Sakama and Nishkama, there's a fourth type of Sakama devotee that is mentioned in these last two verses of this chapter. Sakama means what? They have desires to be fulfilled. Right? Are you Sakama Bhakta or Nishkama Bhakta? So let me think about that for a second. Krishna, this is verses there from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ante Eva Shanta. Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakaliya Shanta. It says the Krishna Bhakta, the pure devotee, he is Nishkam. He has no desire to be fulfilled. Ante Eva Shanta, so he is peaceful. Whereas everyone else, Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakaliya Shanta. Bhukti means enjoyment, Mukti means liberation, Siddhi means mystic powers. You want some mystic powers. That's very attractive, actually. Isn't it? Have mystic powers to control over others. I think this is why this genre of movies like witches and vampires very popular. Avatar, Last Airbender. I also like very much. Why is that? X-Men, all these things with superpowers. There's so many of the TV shows now, superpowers. So this is called desire for siddhi, mystic powers by which you can manipulate matter in so many ways. Mukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakaliya Shanta. All those persons are ashanta, not peaceful. So anyways, if you're a Sakama person, you're disturbed by your desire. And if you're a Nishkama person, because you have no desire to be fulfilled, you are peaceful. These two basic things. So Sakama category, we heard about these three devotees. But in these last two verses, Krishna mentions a fourth type of Sakama devotee. What is Sakama again?
Disturbed by her.
Yeah, material desires, Sakama. You have some desire you want to fulfill. So three types were already mentioned, right? What are the three types? Bolo. Travis, this middle one. Not Travis. Everyone's nervous.
One who's looking for, or one who has material desires, who approaches God with material desires. That one.
I just said though. I'm just saying if you. Yes.
Yeah.
Artha means what? Suffering, right? So you, God, please remove. I have some disease. I'm in some difficulty. Please remove the difficulty. Then Jignasu, they have some questions. And third type, they have something material they want from God. So there's a fourth type of Sakama devotee. He has a desire for liberation. So he has a desire for mukti. So that is mentioned in these last two verses of chapter 7. You understand? You understand? So this fourth type of Sakama devotee. So we'll hear about this. 2 verses. So this is verse 29. Jara marana mokshaya mam ashrita yatantiya. This is chapter 7, verse 29. Te brahmanta vidu krishnam adhyatma karma chakila. So jara marana mokshaya. Jara means old age. And marana means death. Mokshaya, liberation. So there are people who want freedom from old age and death. Isn't it? Old age is not very nice. I don't know personally, because I don't remember my previous lives, but you can ask any old person, they will tell you it is not a very nice thing. The body goes through a state of dwindling. Imagine your toenails growing very long and calcifying. You can't clip them. Your face immediately frowns, but someone is told like this. There was one devotee went to a hospital and to visit another devotee, and he was describing how there was one old man in the hospital. He was trying to clip his toenails, but the toenails had like practically calcified, so he couldn't clip. So finally, he got frustrated, just threw the nail clipper down, and That sounded very scary. It was like a scary story. Or imagine losing your teeth. That one, I have nightmares about that one. Where you like you bite into something, then you bite out, your teeth come out. So this is called jara. Jara means old age. And marana means death. So no one wants to die. No one wants to grow old. Sometimes people used to say that, oh, by growing old, well, I can learn so many things. But nowadays we're seeing that is not necessarily the case. So jara, marana, moksha. So they want freedom from this old age and death. Mama shritya yatantiye. Yatanti means yogis, those who are endeavoring for spiritual life. They have this desire for freedom from the repetition of old age and death. I have a little bit of mukti kami in me myself, but I'm not wanting freedom from old age and death. I don't want to have to repeat middle school. That was a very frightening experience. For this reason, I got a little bit of mukti kami in me, desire for liberation. So yatanti means the yogis, those who are endeavoring for freedom from old age and death. Mama shrityaye, they take shelter of Krishna for this purpose. So they are also sakama. But their desire is a little bit more elevated than those who just want to exploit matter. They want freedom from matter. That is their desire. They're called as moksha kami. Mama shritya. Ma means me, Krishna is speaking. Ashritya means they take shelter of me for this purpose. So te brahma tavidu krishnam adhyatma kamachakimo. So he says, he speaks of the knowledge of these persons. They know, tavidu means they know all about Brahma. This is one, Brahma, Adhyatma, and karma. These three things. And he will mention three other items in the next verse. So we'll take this verse next also. This is verse 30. Sadi bhutadi dhaivamam, sadi yagyam cha yevidu, prayane kalipi chamam, tevidur yukta chaitasaha. So Adibhuta, they know about Adibhuta. Adidhaivam, they know about this Adidaiva. And Adi Yagyam. So all these terms will be described in the beginning of chapter 8. So we will go to chapter 8, also beginning part. But he says these things constitute the knowledge of those who have desire for liberation. So they know what is Brahman, they know what is Adhyatma, they know what is karma, they know what is Adibhuta, Adidaiva, Adiyagya. Prayane Kali Pichama, if anyone knows these things at the time of death, Tevidur Yukta Chaitasa, anyone whose consciousness is fully absorbed in this knowledge at the time of death, then they can become free from material bondage. So this is how Krishna ends this chapter. So in this 7th chapter, this is just a summary. Basically, he speaks that the soul is entangled in Maya, or illusion, or the inferior energy. And if you want to get out of this inferior energy, then you should become Krishna's devotee. And out of that big, broad category of being Krishna's devotee, there are these different types of devotees. Basically, Sakama type devotees, Nishkama type devotees. And in this Sakama category, there are 4 types, right? And in 2 categories. One type is they have desire for bhukti, the other type is desire for mukti. Nishkama category, there is 1 type. And there is 1 type of other devotee that is mentioned in the very beginning of the chapter. He's a pure devotee. That is called Kevala Bhakti, no mixture. So that is the essence of chapter 7. That the soul is entangled in Maya. If he wants to get out of Maya, he should surrender to God and become God's devotee. And out of those who become devotees, these are the different types of devotees that exist. They're not all in one category. There are different types of devotees. And so the different types of devotees are described in so many verses. So that is the essence of this chapter. You understand?
Sakama breaks down into
Sakama, yeah, so if you have devotee, then you have the Sakama category, Nishkama. So then Sakama category, there are 2 types, Bhukti and Mukti. Most are trying for some sort of enjoyment, and then 1 type is desire for liberation. So there are 4 types of devotees total in that Sakama category, and 1 type in the Nishkama category, and then 1 type pure devotee. So Gaudiya Vedanta, this is a Vedanta tradition, we promote this last category, Kevala Bhakti. But most of us are probably in the Sakama categories. You can go from Sakama to Kevala, but that doesn't usually happen. or it happens slowly. You understand everything?
Which was the one in the Nishkama?
The Jnani. So Nishkama means they have no desire. So a Jnani. This Jnani does not have desire for liberation because Krishna describes in chapter 7, Eka Bhakti. He is exclusively devoted to Krishna. So his desire is basically to meditate on Krishna. But he doesn't necessarily render active service, but he just wants to meditate on God. So he is called this Nishkama category. You understand? Then there's Kevala Bhakti. He also is fully meditating on God, but he also serves God in so many ways. So the basic point in this chapter is that you have to, if you want happiness in life, you have to come out of Maya, out of material nature. And in order to do that, you have to become Krishna's devotee. And now Krishna has delineated the different types of devotees there are. So what type of devotee you want to become? So then that is up to you. Now that you know the categories of devotees, then you decide what type of devotee you want to be. You want to be pure devotee? You want to be Sakama devotee? Nishkama devotee? What type of devotee you want to be? Pure. Really? Jai.
Is anyone even going to admit to
Is anyone ever going to admit to wanting to be a Sakama devotee or desire for bhukti? Yes. We know one devotee who said that he's chanting Hare Krishna because he wants to attain Apsara Loka. So Apsara Loka, is one of the heavenly planets where all the heavenly damsels reside. And they're like the heavenly society girls, basically. So he says he's chanting Hare Krishna. He heard about this Apsara Loka. He said, yes, this is the place I'm going to go to. So for this reason, I'm chanting Hare Krishna. So one devotee is told like this. I met another devotee. He said that every devotee of God, they have some deity of their heart. It's called Ishtadeva, the deity of their heart's desire. So in Gaudiya Vedanta, our Ishtadeva is Krishna, Radha Mulidhar. That is our Ishtadeva. If you go to another Sampradaya, their Ishtadeva is Ramchandra, we celebrated his appearance recently. So this devotee said, my Ishtadeva is Mohini Murti. So Mohini Murti is a form of Krishna. He took a form of a beautiful woman to bewilder the demons. He said, that is my Ishtadeva. So like this, there are so many mixed devotees out here. And Gaudiya Vedanta promotes pure devotion. So the idea is to inspire pure devotion. But this is the situation. But this is the essence of the chapter. One is in Maya, you come out of Maya by? How do you come out of Maya? By becoming a devotee. And then you decide what type of devotee you want to be. So let's go to the beginning of chapter 8, the first 4 verses, just because all these terms are described. Krishna mentioned 6 terms at the end of chapter 7. You might want to just commit some of these terms to memory. That comes up in the questionnaire that I tried to print, but I guess the printer isn't working properly upstairs. It's a little annoying. So these terms are important. Brahman is one, and Adhyatman, Karma, Adibhuta, Adiyagya, Adidhaivam. These 6 things. So Arjuna asked about these terms in the beginning of chapter 8, so we'll just cover that. So the first 2 verses of this chapter is basically what are all these items? What is Adibhuta, what is Brahman, what is Adiyagya, what is Karma? That is the first 2 verses of chapter 8. So Krishna begins to answer the question in verse 3. So we'll start from verse 3 and 4. He answers them very cogently, very succinctly. Sri Bhagavan-Vacha, this is 8.3. Aksharam Brahma Paramaswa Bhavo Adhyatma Uchate Bhuta Bhavo Bhavakaro Visarga Karma Samhita. So he gives an answer to the first 3. What is Brahman? So in answer to that, he says Aksharam Brahma Paramam. Akshara means that which is imperishable. So basically in this world, there's 2 things. There's 2, let's say, entities that are imperishable. The soul and ultimately in God. Our bodies are perishing at every moment. The objects that we are also attached to in this world, they are perishing at every moment. And they are here today and gone tomorrow. But there is something that is always constant. That is the self. It is imperishable. A very interesting exercise in this regard. Sometimes I've done this with people to help them get a sense of the soul's existence as different from the world is that when you dream, your waking life ceases to exist for a period of time, right? You're completely forgetful of this ego. Like now you have ego, Sid, I'm an Indian guy, I'm cool, etc., etc. You have so much is there. But then when you sleep, all of that is forgotten. All the desires that comes with that ego, all the sense of self that you've invested in the body, it completely ceases to exist as you're engaged in the dream world. And you're in the dream world, you're a fish, maybe you're a dog, you're a bird. Like sometimes we have dreams like that where you could fly. You like go like this in the dream, you start lifting off. You ever have any dreams like that? So then when you wake up, your dream world ceases to exist and you forget about it, and then you're immediately brought back into your waking life of whatever your ego is. But in both these states, dream and waking life, there's only one thing that continues to exist in both phases. That's you who's looking at it. You're looking, as a witness, you're looking at your waking life. And when you're dreaming, you're looking at your dream life. So that is the only thing that continues to exist in both stages. When you're asleep, your waking life is finished temporarily, and when you're wake up, your dream life is finished. But you are always the constant in all factors. So this is a little simple exercise that you should think about it actually deeply. It's a very interesting exercise. The only constant factor is the self. That is, self is called as akshara, the imperishable. So your waking world is perishable. When you sleep, you forget your waking life, so it is perishable. And then you will also die one day, so it'll really be perishable at that time. Isn't it? Your dream world is certainly perishable, and when you wake up, it's finished. But there's something that is constantly there, that is not perishing, and that is consciousness itself, that is akshara, imperishable. So he says this akshara, this imperishable entity, is called Brahman. That is what is meant by Brahman. It is that imperishable substance. And spiritual life is meant for knowing the akshara. Of course, like I said, this akshara, there are two types of akshara, the living entity and God. So akshara here, we will discover later, means the Supreme Lord is akshara. So is akshara. Akshara, the Brahman, and Prabhupada describes it as the Brahman, and then there's Para Brahman. So Para Brahman means like the Supreme Brahman. So akshara, and then the Supreme akshara. So this word, because the word akshara is a little bit, these and Vedic culture, I always say, they also had a pronoun issue. Like in modern times, there are pronoun issues there. Don't call me he, don't call me she, call me they, zer, them, them, they. Pronoun issue. Sometimes when you meet people, they have this thing that, what is your preferred pronoun? You have to ask in some places. I went to a friend's graduation in Berkeley. And Berkeley, they have a very strong sort of politics there. So the dean, when he opened up the speech for the graduation, he said, my name is Dean. He was a guy. My name is Dean so-and-so, and I go by he, him, and his. Oh my God. I had a good laugh for like 5 minutes. I was like, of course you do. Like, what else are you going to go by? But because the politics is like this, so they have to clarify that I go by he, him, and his. Like, what other pronouns are you going to go by? So they have this pronoun issue today. So also in the scripture, there's a pronoun issue because they use words like atman, akshara. They're very generic, so you don't always know what they're talking about. So in the commentary, you have to see, what is the akshara? Is it soul or is it God? So here, akshara just means the imperishable entity, but that can refer to soul, that can refer to God also. And they're already been established as distinct from one another in the Gita. So here, akshara refers to the Supreme Brahman, Para Brahman. So that is the meaning of Brahman. So what is Brahman? Brahman means? Yes, I ask a lot of questions because I know what is the situation in Kali Yuga. Huh?
God.
Yeah, Brahman means akshara, the imperishable entity. And that imperishable entity can be God or it can be the individual soul. You understand? What is Brahman? Yes, very good. Swabhava adhyatma uchate. So the second question was, what is adhyatma? So Krishna said Adhyatma means Swabhava. So the word Swabhava means one's own nature. That is the meaning of the word Swabhava. So Adhyatma Prabhupada translates as meaning the nature of the soul. Swabhava refers to the nature of the soul. But the word Swabhava also specifically refers to the imposition of the subtle body on the soul. This is called Swabhava. What you call as your nature is what has been imposed upon the soul, the subtle body. So your sense of identity, for example, you say, I am ... That is called false ego, right? Ahankara. And along with that ahankara comes so many sorts of desires that you have. And some of those desires are very prominent in your ego. So all of that is called a swabhava, your nature. So what you call as your nature is simply your false ego. And then the desires that are prominent with that ego, this is called the swabhava. I'm this type of person. I like this. I'm not really like that. This sort of thing is called a swabhava. It is an imposition of the subtle body on the soul, and that you're identified with. You understand?
So it's like all your impressions.
All your impressions. Well, it's not exactly all your impressions that make you what you are in this life, right? You have a particular nature. Like, for example, you're quite introverted. So that is part of your swabhava. So whatever type of life experiences you had previously, they've created certain impressions that make you in this life introverted. And I have certain impressions that make me pretty extroverted most of the time, like 95% of the time. Mm-hmm. Most extroverts, they always say, well, I'm an introvert and extrovert. Nah, bro, you just extroverted. You feel guilty, but I don't feel guilty. I have certain impressions that make me like that. So that's part of my nature. And it's very hard to give up, right? Or you have something like sexuality. This is swabhava. You have a certain type of life experiences, previous bodies that become very prominently fixed in this body. And then you have a certain attraction that you can't change or adjust. So this is called a swabhava. It is an imposition of basically the subtle body, specifically of the false ego and the mind upon the soul. This is called as adhyatma. You understand? So adhyatma means swabhava, the imposition of the subtle body on the soul. Just like we always say, you are not this body, right? So normally when we hear that, we think this gross material body. And so we will also give examples. You're not black, you're not white, you're not man, you're not woman, you're not this, you're not that. But actually, when you say you're not this body, we mostly mean you're not this subtle body, because that's where all the identification is taking place. It doesn't take place with the gross body, it's happening inside with the subtle body. I always give this example that I don't identify with my black body so much. I never had that like strong identity with it. And going up in a school with a lot of ghetto people made it even less so. Because I couldn't stand them. So I even identify less with my race because of that. So, but I have the black body, so why is that identity with this race not so strong? Because identity is happening inside with the subtle body. So I would have a certain, I identify in maybe a different way. So that is called swabhava, right? Your nature. And it is an imposition on the soul. So this is called as adhyatma. You understand? Adhyatma refers to the jiva who is dealing with the imposition of the subtle body upon this being. All right? So third question was, what is karma? Bhuta bhavo bhavakaro visarga karma samdita. So karma refers to bhuta bhava udbhavakaro. So bhuta means the material elements, and bhava means the manifestation of these gross bodies by the material elements. So visarga means the creation of the gross body with the material elements. This is called as karma. Now this is very interesting because the word karma means action. And normally when we think of karma as a principle, it means action and reaction. But here Krishna says karma means the creation of the gross body. And the type of gross body you get is due to the type of activities you've performed previously. And with that particular gross body, you will perform further activities, which will lead to further creation of bodies in the future. Right? So if you act like, a simple example, if you act like cat and dog this life, then next life you can get cat or dog body. And then with that cat and dog body, you will do cat and dog things and then get another body after that. So karma refers to activities that you perform to generate material bodies. Right? Unless you're doing spiritual activity by which you're trying to become free from bodies, then your activities are simply leading you to the development of another body. You understand? And that body may not be human, depending on the type of activities you perform. Just like if someone's just like, I just love red meat. And sometimes you see that when people like this, because they get sick of the vegans and their self-righteousness, so they say, I just love red meat, just to, kind of counteract the vegans or whatever. So that is okay, but you'll probably take birth as tiger or something next life. Then you can eat as much red meat as you want. Of course, until you're shot dead by the hunters, and then you're extinct, but that is another issue. Way by those activities, you get a body that is compatible with the way that subtle body is being shaped. So karma means the creation of bodies based on the activities that you're performing. So therefore, one should do spiritual activities. Otherwise, you have to get another body. Asana piklesha da asadeha. What is this material body? It is the cause of suffering. Isn't it? There's no question about it. Just like if you want to give suffering to this body or pleasure to the body, a very limited list of what you can do. But if you want to make it suffer, that list is very long. So this body is meant for this only, suffering. So unless you use the body to get out of this position, then you'll get another one and continue suffering. Okay, final verse for today. The last 3 items are mentioned. Adi bhutakshara bhava purushashtadi daivatam adi yogyaham evatra deha deha pratambara. So one of the questions is, what is Adi Bhuta? Adi Bhuta, Krishna says, means Sharo Bhava. So Adi Bhuta refers to that which is perishable. So that which was imperishable was called? Brahman, yes, very good. And that which is perishable is called? Adi Bhuta. So that which perishes is called as Adi Bhuta. So everything in this material world is called Adi Bhuta. So from the body to the objects, to the whole world that we see, this is called as Adi Bhuta because it is perishable. Purush, unfortunately, we are absorbed in this perishable world, so it's very dangerous. As we have this little aphorism that we like, those who abandon the eternal for the temporary lose both. Many times people don't take up spiritual life seriously because they're so busy with the perishable. So we say if you abandon the eternal for the temporary, then you will lose both. You'll lose your chance for spiritual perfection, and whatever perishable thing you're absorbed in will perish, and you'll become double loser. You lose out chance for spiritual life, and you also lose that material thing as well. So Adi Bhuta Ksharo Bhava, that which is perishable is called as Adi Bhuta. What is Adi Daiva? Purushascha Didhaivatam. So the Adi Daivatam refers to the universal form of the Lord. It basically refers to the universe that contains everything inside of it. This is called as the Adi Daiva. Sometimes in bhagavad-gita and Vedic literatures, the form of God is said to be the universal form, which we'll encounter later in chapter 11 of Bhagavad-gita. And then inside that universal form, which is like the gross form of God, there is the soul that is inside that body of the universal form. And that is called as the Paramatma. You understand? Just like you have a gross body, and inside you exist inside that body as a soul, yeah? So similarly, this universe is compared to the gross body of the Supreme Lord. And he is existing inside that gross body as a Paramatma. He's the very life of the world. Just as soon as this soul leaves the body, then the body will immediately perish. In the same way, if God were to leave the world, then the world will immediately collapse upon itself. So it is sometimes imagined this way. So Adi Daiva refers to this universal form of the Lord that contains all the devas. All the devas are part of this universe. This is called this Adi Daiva. You understand? And Adi Yagya, who is the Lord of Yagya? The Lord of Yagya is he who is existing inside this gross body. He is the Paramatma. This, we don't have so much time to talk about this here, but in Vedic literatures, sometimes Indra is called as the Lord of Yagya. And because many of the Vedic rites deal with a lot of rituals that are directed at devatas, and Indra is one of the prominent deities that comes up in the Vedic rituals. So many people think he is the Lord of Yagya. So therefore the question, who is the actual Lord of Yagya? That is the Paramatma, who is the soul of the universe. He is actually the Lord of this world. And later on in chapter 5, Krishna has already explained that he is, right, what is that? Bhoktaram Jagya Tapasa Sarva Loka Maheshwara. That he's the actual enjoyer of Yagya. So Adi Yagya here refers to the super soul who exists inside the world as the Paramatma and inside the body. So this is the answer to the first 6 questions. Arjuna asked a 7th question also. How can a person know you at the time of death? So the rest of the chapter is basically the answer to that question. So we'll have to take up the rest of that on Wednesday, or begin to take up the rest of it. It's actually, the next section is very important because it deals with death. And the purpose of life is to know how to die. Anyway, death is coming, that is inescapable. It will come today or tomorrow. So it is a very important subject matter, how to die. The whole purpose of living is to learn how to die. It's very interesting. So that question will be answered in the next section. But what we heard today is about the different categories of devotees. And then we heard about the knowledge of the moksha kami devotee. He knows these 6 topics. What are the 6 topics?
Just those words are too complicated.
You have to write them down. That's why you should bring bhagavad-gita with you. Write it down. What is it?
Without the Sanskrit.
Okay. Brahman, that's Sanskrit, but okay.
The self, like the subtle body.
Yes. Adhyatman. Yes.
The physical world.
Yes, Adibhuta, the physical world.
Is Paramatma, which is the...
Yes, Paramatma, the soul of the universe. It's called as Adi Yagya.
And then...
2 more. There is a universal form of the Lord that is called as Adi Daiva. And then karma. You understand? Okay. And how many types of devotees are there?
3, 4, 2,
6.
6?
6. No, wait. 6.
6? You also go with 6?
3.
3.
To read this and divide it into?
Yeah.
Or is it just the 3 or like going...
How many types of devotees in all the categories? How many? Yeah, how many types of devotees are there? 3?
6.
6?
Wait,
6?
Categories too.
Huh?
Bingo.
Bingo. 7 actually.
Oh,
There's
like 4 and 2.
yes, exactly. What are the 4? So those are the categories. Bhakti Mukti. But what are the 4 types of devotees in the Sakama category?
They want to get rid of suffering. They want to enjoy materially. They have questions.
Yeah.
And then there's also the ones who want liberation.
Yeah, it's very good.
And then there's Jnana.
Yes, the Gyani, he's in the Nishkamaka. He just wants to meditate on God.
Yeah.
And then there are pure devotees.
Pure devotees.
He is described in the first verse of the chapter, 7:1. He's
That's 6.
That's 6?
Yeah.
Okay, so 6 devotees. Oh yeah, we'll hear about the 7th one in chapter 8. There's another one. Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Very good. Okay. Any comments or questions or reflections? And we're finished now. I will take 2 reflections anyway, so you can volunteer yourself or I will call on you. Share something that you've learned today.
Well, I guess I thought it was pretty interesting, like how there's I guess 6 types of devotees, and like you would think that everyone would just naturally be inclined toward being a pure devotee, but obviously it's not that way since there's each kind of, I guess, each devotee is like, I don't know, just like how strong like material desire is to like, instead of just everyone wanting to be a pure devotee, it's like all these sections are there for a reason. I guess.
Yeah.
It's like,
Very nice. Yes, everyone is not coming here to be a pure devotee. That's a very, although the tradition that we participate in promotes pure devotion to Krishna, that is not everyone's interest. Some people want to go to Apsara Loka. That's a little bit ridiculous, but that is, the desire is like this. And the thing is that Krishna does not condemn those types of devotees.
They're worshiping Krishna.
They are also worshiping Krishna. But he never condemns them. He actually glorifies those devotees also. Udhara sarva evaite in 7:17, he glorifies the devotee also. But he says this Gani type is like my own self. He identifies with that type. And later we also discussed this. In the Kevala Bhakta, he says he is more than my own self. So he considers that pure devotee to be even more than his own self. That is a big topic, Bhagavatam topic. So even though everyone is not interested in pure devotion and Krishna, the sadhus, we criticize those devotees. What nonsense, he's having material desire, but Krishna says he's a great soul. So that is also very interesting. Sadhus, we're a little bit heavy, when we want people to get line up with just the pure devotional idea. But Krishna is very magnanimous. He also glorifies these types. Okay, we'll take one other reflection. There's a question here online. I've got 2 questions. How do animals reincarnate to humans? By acting as humans? No, I don't think animals can act as humans. That would be scary. Or a little interesting, I guess. And scary with some of the animals. No, by nature's own progress, then the soul in the animals' bodies goes through a gradual evolution. That's how we hear about it, at least. I have not seen a location where the exact process of evolution is described. But there's a hierarchy of species also. There's usually, I think in Manu Samhita, it is mentioned 8,400,000 species of life. At the bottom, there's I forget all the numbers now because I haven't recited this in a long time. But you have the fish or aquatic life, then you have plant life, and then you have insect life, reptilian life, bird life, mammal, and then human life. And then above humans, you have celestials also, the devas and so on. So these are the different categories. And they're considered in a hierarchy in terms of the exhibition of awareness or consciousness. So the higher you go up in the hierarchy, the more you're able to exhibit greater extent of awareness. So when you're only in the human form of life can you accrue karma and go down or up. Krishna has also said that in chapter 15, verse 2. So in the lower species, there's just a gradual evolution until you attain the human form of life. But the soul has to move through many, 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 many species because there's so many species, and within each category of species, there's also so many varieties. So the soul has to do quite a bit of movement through the different species. And then finally, he attains a human form of life. Nirdeham adyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam gurukar nadaram mayanukulyena nabasantaritam pumam bhavadhyam natarasa atmaha. This is a very nice verse. So nirdeham adyam sulabham sudurlabham. This human form of life is sulabham. It is easily obtained. Sudurlabham, but rarely obtained. Easily obtained means you will get it somehow or other eventually just by moving through the species of life. But it is very rare. How many humans are there compared to other species of life? Not hardly any. Of course, humans are doing something about that. But otherwise, they are very small in number compared to other species. So Sudurlabham is very rare to attain this form. Plavam sukalpam. It is compared to a boat. Plavam means a boat. Sukalpam, a boat that is specifically designed for a particular purpose. I always joke, there are different types of boat. There are yachts is there, and then there is the, what do you call this? The jet ski. I always forget that. Huh? The jet ski is there. When I would stay in my friend's apartment in Jersey City, he lives right on the Hudson River, and so many people in the summertime they just ride jet skis like all over the place. So the yacht is made for a particular purpose, and that purpose is different from the jet ski. That is made for another purpose. Then there's a rowboat. That is another purpose. You understand? So this body, human body, is a plavam, it is a boat, but it's designed for a particular purpose. So unfortunately, because we're not being educated about human life in our modern education system, we don't know what is the purpose of human life. So we're trying to imitate the animals, and we're not doing a very good job. For example, the grizzly bear, he can sleep 6 months, wake up refreshed. If you sleep more than 10 hours, you don't wake up refreshed. You wake up a gremlin. And similarly here in the city especially, they're trying for so much sex life. But how much sex life you can have in human body compared to the pigeon? Pigeon can do 26 times in 1 hour. It's unbelievable. The rabbit also has got some Shakti. So that, because that body is made for that purpose, it can do those things. Similarly, the eagle, he can fly high in the sky. From high up there, he can see even a tiny thing moving on the ground. Humans, we have to make telescope, all these things like that. So what is the purpose of this human form? You try to imitate the animals, but that is not, they can do whatever they're designed to do, they're doing very naturally, they can do very nice. But we cannot do what animals do very nicely, because our boat is designed for another purpose. What is that purpose? It is designed for self-realization. So plavam sukapam guru karnadaram. Karnadaram, guru means the guru is the captain of the ship. So you have human body, boat, there should be a captain for the boat. So that captain is the guru, spiritual master. Maya anuku yena nabasu tarita. And the favorable winds that help to move the boat forward are the instructions of Krishna. Bhagavad-gita, Uddhava-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, so many instructions are coming. And pumambavadam natarasa amma, that human being who does not take advantage of this opportunity, then sa'atmaha, he is a killer of his own soul. So this human form of life is very special. Second one might be kind of stupid, but did Krishna as Bhagavan exist in a certain time or place, like Jesus, or is he also imperishable like Brahman? This is not a stupid question. Many people have this doubt also. No, Krishna exists in all times and all spaces forever. And he is imperishable. He is called as Para-Brahman. So Brahman can refer to the individual soul. Krishna or God is called as Para-Brahman. Did he exist in a certain time and space? He makes his appearance in this world. Or you can say he reveals himself at a certain time and space. He exists in all times and in all spaces, but the souls do not see God in all times and all spaces. As we mentioned in last class, the separation from God is not in terms of distance, but consciousness, because the consciousness is covered by the curtain of Maya Shakti. So sometimes he removes that curtain and the souls see him at a certain time and certain space. And therefore there's a sense of a historical Krishna. And people are trying to find out the historical Krishna. But as he presents himself in Gita, he is the Para-Brahman. He exists in all time and spaces. So I hope those answers, those two questions came online from Ms. Lauren. All right, final reflection, please.
If you want happiness, you have to escape Maya, and in order to escape Maya, you need to become a.
Very nice. This is very simple and very much the essence of chapter 7. Very good. Travis, what you got?
Well, I learned that our identification is mostly with the subtle body rather than the gross material body. and that just learn reading of small bhagavad, the imposition of the soul body on soul.
Nice. What is your name?
Mickey.
Mickey. How did you hear about this class?
I stayed at the Sanctuary Hotel.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I live in New York. And I wanted to bring my daughter to a center, help her with like mindfulness, meditation. And so I brought her there.
Okay.
Brought her here on Sunday.
Okay.
So I wanted to come and
Check it out.
get my feet wet a little bit.
Well, thank you. I hope you didn't get too wet.
Thank you.
All right, boys. Thank you all very much. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Later online.